All right, welcome back, guys. It's been about 24 hours since the ceasefire was agreed upon, and I guess the ceasefire has ceased. Well, but it didn't stop the usual suspects from losing their minds. Of course, we have the Tucker Carlsons of the world, of course, ranting, and Alex Jones. Alex Jones, of course, had something to say. We covered that yesterday. You can watch the past live stream if you want to catch up on what we said. We just want to jump into what we didn't finish over the last live stream. TDSBC going on the record to essentially say that Trump arriving at the ceasefire that they were clamoring for by their attacks on the Trump administration for engaging in this war with Iran. And mind you, Iran has been on a war footing with the United States for the last 47 years. So when you hear the likes of Megyn Kelly claiming that the Trump administration started a war with Iran, no, Iran started a war with the United States 47 years ago. And anyone who's honest would actually, understand that that's how the way worked. Okay, so okay, hold on. I need to ban this this chatter, and I need to turn off the voice prompts. I forgot that was on. Okay, so what we need to do is to essentially watch what these guys on TDSBC have to say about the Trump administration's Okay, so let's listen to this video from MS Now. Trump announces historic agreement. Okay, he announces that, and then Eugene Vindman, orange man bad. That's the response of these guys every time Trump does something. Trump could cure cancer, and they would figure out a way to spin it to be that he did something wrong. Okay, TDS is a mental illness. Okay, it's impossible for these people to celebrate anything positive if it involves Trump. Let's listen to this reaction from TDSBC. I refuse to call them MS Now. TDSBC reacts, and here's what they said about the ceasefire.
Iran's armed forces and with due consideration of technical limitations. What's your take on this breaking news?
Well, look, first of all, I think we need to focus on the statement earlier today, which is absolutely deranged and outrageous, threatening the destruction of an entire civilization. No president should ever threaten something like that. Even World War II, which was a total war, we fought for the unconditional surrender of the Japanese and the Germans, not for the destruction of their civilization. And the bottom line is America can never be great if America is not good.
Cry more, cry more.
For genocide in that statement earlier, is that how you read it?
You know, the statement is just, it's deranged. It didn't make sense. It could be everything from genocide to destroying cultural artifacts. In any case, it was bad, unacceptable. And the president needs to be constrained. That's why we had votes on the War Powers Resolution. I suspect we'll have additional votes on the War Powers Resolutions. But as you know, as we look forward to what this potential ceasefire looks like, the devil's in the details. We have to remember the United States is involved in this conflict, Iran is involved in this conflict, and so is Israel. Is Israel going to abide by these same terms? There's been no actual coordination. There's been coordination, but no unity of effort, no unity of command.
These guys bend over backwards to find everything wrong with everything the Trump administration does. Whenever you have people who do things like this, you can't trust them. Okay, people have to be objective about the things that even people they don't like achieve. If Obama accomplished something, I would expect the Republican Party to say, hey, you did something good. Okay, we need to celebrate that. That's my position on this, okay? But when we watch TDSBC do their level best to discredit Donald Trump over a ceasefire that they had been, tongue-in-cheek clamoring for, accusing him of starting a war, and then further accusing him of wanting to commit genocide. And now he's gotten the ceasefire, and they're looking for ways of to say that, well, they got a ceasefire, but is Israel on board? And besides that, we have doubts as to whether Israel was actually cooperating with the United States on this war. Everything seems all over the place and messed up. That's what they're just trying to say. And you're going to hear what TDSBC tries to do to lead him along this talking point that has developed over the last 72 hours of Trump being mentally unstable and the possibilities of calling up the 25th Amendment. Now, if you don't know what the 25th Amendment is, it is a clause in the Constitution that essentially says that a president can be replaced if he is deemed incapacitated or unable to function in his office, which includes physical incapacitation and mental incapacitation.
So we'll see whether that is the case going forward. We'll see whether the Iranians insist that it has to be a toll or passage of $2 million per ship. The devil is in the details, and I'll tell you right now, I'm skeptical.
I mean, back to the question of via coordination.
Shocker, you're skeptical.
With due consideration of technical limitations, Congressman, that sounds like the tolls that they've already been charging people, which seems $2 million per ship. That would mean that the President of the United States has agreed to allow every ship that comes through the Strait of Hormuz, or force them to pay $2 million per ship. Solo, like that is a conversation between the United States via Pakistan to Iran. So when you think about that, that is a singular person making that kind of decision for every oil company, all of our allies, both in the region and not. That feels like something that a lot of people are going to have questions about, different countries who are wondering, I didn't agree to $2 million.
Well, dude with the afro, President Trump invited everyone to be part of this exercise to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Everyone turned him down and said they were busy mowing their lawn. So President Trump single-handedly had to go ahead and strike this deal. So complaining after the fact isn't going to cut it.
For every ship.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Arab neighbors in the region, the UAE, Qatar, all these other Kuwaitis, the Iraqis, are they going to agree to payment of terms? I mean, we're speculating at this point. I think we need to stay laser focused on what we have in front of us.
So like it's more of the same hogwash from TDSBC. Okay. He's saying, will the Arab states agree? So what's the alternative? Are they going to eventually do what President Trump has been trying to get them to do for the last month? Get involved and make sure that the strait is open. Okay. So what he's essentially saying is they're going to continue doing what they've been doing for the last month. And they're also going to sit back and say, we're not interested in this deal, and we want the strait to remain closed so that we can continue to bellyache. That's essentially the position that TDSBC is promoting. Well, Tucker Carlson, if you haven't been following the recent character development arc of Tucker Carlson now is bellyaching over President Trump. I don't know why Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones have decided to simply turn coat and begin to attack President Trump. Last night, Patricia and I had some thoughts about it. My thought is that my assumption, and like I said, I don't know why, but here's an assumption. Whenever someone gives you an assumption, they don't know. My assumption is that they're hedging their bets so that when the Republicans lose the midterms, that's what they expect. They kind of have this vest, this Kevlar around them that says, hey, look, we attacked Trump when he was doing this other thing, so don't come after us. That's my assumption. I might be wrong. Now here's Tucker Carlson, and he's essentially here saying that he's insinuating that Trump might be the Antichrist. All right. is it possible that you're watching a very stealthy yet incredibly effective attack on what, from a Christian perspective, is the true faith and belief in Jesus? Okay, let's hear him out.
We're watching. Is it, and you have to think through, like, could there be a spiritual component to what we're watching? Is it just a conventional escalation ladder in a badly thought out war with ill-defined goals, and we just wound up in this really tough place where we face either humiliation on the one side or a nuclear launch on the other? That's part of what it is, but could it be something bigger than that? Is it possible that what you're watching is a very stealthy yet incredibly effective attack on what, from a Christian perspective, is the true faith, belief in Jesus? Is that what really is under attack here? Maybe that's what's been under attack for a long time?
All right, so Carlson essentially is insinuating that President Trump has always been against the Christian faith and has been attacking it for a while, but we didn't notice.
Maybe our whole lifetime.
Okay.
Maybe almost everything we see is an attack on that faith. The one faith that is always attacked, always and everywhere for 2,000 years. It's one. Many faiths have been attacked. Many religious people of different religions have been killed over the past 2,000 years. But there's been only one sustained effort to exterminate a faith, and that's the Christian faith.
Okay,
Could
true.
that be part of it?
No, I don't think so.
Is it possible that the president sees this not just in geostrategic terms, in military terms, in economic terms, got open and straight? Okay. Is it possible the president sees this in bigger terms? Sees this as the fulfillment of something, or the elevation to some higher office beyond President of the United States? That's entirely possible. And that's not an attack, but it's also not a guess. Because at every turn since the inauguration last January, there have been religious leaders on the scene telling us out loud. Most of us ignored it because we're just so secular, we just sort of ignore it. Got some sleazy Southern Baptist preacher who says whatever for money. Okay, got it. We've ignored that this could actually be real. There's something going on here.
All right, so Tucker Carlson has essentially accused President Trump of colluding with a centuries-long attack on the Christian faith. Now, it's fashionable to attack President Trump. It is. It is not fashionable to be supportive of the Trump administration and their policies. And having a 1-hour broadcast where you essentially try to oversimplify why the moves that the president is making on the Iranian regime and on certain other policy positions is essentially a righteous move. But the person who is being used to execute the righteous moves doesn't have to fit your definition of a minister of faith. For a very long time, I found that people tend to attach Christian clergy-like status to Western leaders. And it has some benefit because people in leadership should be held to a higher moral standard. I totally agree. But cementing a clergy-like status to Western leaders is very often misleading. It is right for them to conduct themselves in a way that is right, that is righteous, yes. But it is wrong for us to cement them into that position because people in leadership tend to have to do something distasteful in defense of their nation, their communities, and so on. When Tucker Carlson and many others pick up the Bible and tout it as the central tenet of their ethos and why they believe the things they believe, you really need to ask yourself the question, do they really know what's in the Bible? if you read through the Bible and see the kinds of people that have been used in Scripture to fight against injustice, they aren't very nice people. And many of them have very checkered pasts. And many of them, even after they are used by God, wind up in very dark places. So it's not a very cut and dry thing. And that's essentially why, and I'm going to bring this up, many of you will be shocked that I'll be bringing this up. That's why you need to pray for your president. Now, instead of Tucker Carlson getting on his soapbox, and sorry, I still respect what Tucker Carlson has built over his lifetime. I don't think that this is the right way to do it. Now, Tucker Carlson has essentially, and he and Alex Jones have accused President Trump of essentially getting into this war on a whim, and then at the same time trying to paint a picture that he is in some way trying to subvert Christianity globally by his tweets and his posts. Okay. I mean, they have to get their story straight. Which is it? Is he trying to subvert Christianity with his tweets and posts, or is he trying to start a nuclear war? Which is it? You need to pick a lane and stick with it. Should he be swearing and cussing? I wouldn't swear and cuss, but President Trump is his own man, and he can choose what he does with his mouth. Okay. Now, if you are watching right now, okay, and I forgot to do this, please consider leaving a comment in the chat and let me know your thoughts as we go through this. And consider supporting us with a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, subscribe if you're new here. And you can consider leaving us a super chat, and just to keep the lights on. Now, here's President Trump's position on Iran. And he's been saying this for 47 years. And I need you to watch this, because this is what they don't tell you. This is what Alex Jones won't tell you. This is what Megyn Kelly won't tell you. Of course, Tucker Carlson won't tell you this. This is the same guy he's always been. This is the position he's always taken on Iran. He didn't just wake up last month and Benjamin Netanyahu whispered some sweet nothings into his ear, and then he decided, well, it's time to attack Iran. He's been talking about this for 47 years. Think about it. One of my videos where I covered this statement has 1.8 million views. Essentially has people saying the same thing. This guy hasn't changed. So we're seeing someone who's been consistent for 47 years on his position on Iran. And we're seeing people who attached themselves to a movement that he created now turning around, claiming that Trump betrayed the movement. Now let's listen to Trump and let's know your thoughts while this plays.
Back and allows a country such as Iran to hold our hostages, to my way of thinking, is a horror.
Obviously, you're advocating that we should have gone in there with troops, etc., and brought our boys out.
I absolutely feel that, yes. I don't think there's any question, and there's no question in my mind. I think right now would be an oil-rich nation, and I believe that we should have done it, and I'm very disappointed that we didn't do it.
Why couldn't we go in and take over some
1987
of the along the sea? You're going to have a war by being weak. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations, and I mean grab it and keep it, and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
Nearly 40 years ago, Trump saying, I'd be harsh on Iran. They've been beating us psychologically, making us look like a bunch of fools. One bullet shot at one of our men or ships, and I'd do a number on Karg Island. I'd go in and take it. Iran can't even beat Iraq, yet they push the United States around. It'd be good for the world to take them on.
So Iran can be taken. I would never take the military card off the table. And it's possible that it'll have to be used because Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. Nobody will be pushing us around. I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. We will totally dismantle Iran's global terror network. Iran has already, since the deal is in place, test-fired ballistic missiles 3 times, and someday maybe hit even the United States, and we're not going to let that happen.
So can you guys see the consistency here? Okay, so one group is claiming that Trump has betrayed his base, but they fail to let us notice or know that Trump has been talking about this for over 40 years. Let's keep going.
We're not letting it happen. Today I am announcing several major steps we are taking to confront the Iranian regime's hostile actions. The longer we ignore a threat, the worse that threat becomes. The Iranian regime's aggression in the region, including the use of proxy fighters to destabilize its neighbors, must end, and it must end now. And I am ready and prepared to take whatever action is necessary.
I was rough on Iran, and they supposedly have a hit on me. And Biden, if he were a real president, should say, if anybody shoots a former president who's now the leading candidate, we will bomb that country into oblivion.
If I were the president, I would inform the threatening country, in this case Iran, that if you do anything to harm this person, we are going to blow your largest cities and the country itself to smithereens. We're going to blow it to smithereens. You can't do that. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime.
Would you consider bombing the country again?
Without question, absolutely. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong. Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. Ensure that Iran never, and I mean never, acquires a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon.
No, I don't see a war. You see, the war is this is not a Vietnam situation. That would have been the easiest victory we would have ever won.
I mean, for them, it's a war. For us, it's turned out to be easier.
So, guys, now this is not a video trying to throw shade on Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones and Megyn Kelly. It's just us sitting down, relaxing, breathing, and telling ourselves the truth. Okay, if these guys were being truthful about what's going on with President Trump, they should include in their monologues and rhetoric, and some of them sound like rants, the fact that Trump has been talking about Iran for over 40 years. His position has never wavered. And so trying to claim that Israel is pulling the strings on President Trump is, in my books, is essentially slander, because, was Israel whispering in his ears when the 34-year-old Trump was giving that interview in 1980? So it's just the talking point. It's the popular thing to do. Attack Trump, appear to be contrarian, and then, see the numbers on your channel soar, and at the same time hedge your bets against the Democrats coming after you. Look, I don't know if they got the memo. If with this attack against Trump, the Republicans lose the midterms, they have essentially created years of problems for themselves, because the Democrats and leftists are essentially not going to welcome Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones into their midst and say, hey, you helped take down the big bad orange man. It's not going to happen. So I don't know where the off-ramp is for these guys. What essentially is the plan? Now, you might say that they're trying to protect the United States or the world from the Antichrist. Can you prove that that's the case? What is it about Trump that makes him the Antichrist? He dropped an F-bomb during his Easter Sunday rant against Iran, where he was trying to force them to the negotiating table because you're not dealing with reasonable Christian people. You're dealing with people who only understand one language, force. So when you have people who grew up in the United States, in North America, where everything is rosy and nice, where to get someone to do something you want them to do, send them a strongly worded letter. It gets the job done. No, that's not the way the Middle East works. The Middle East is a rough place where only strength is respected. Now, here's Tucker Carlson a few years ago, because his entire rant during that episode that we just played a clip of was all about the fact that Trump was insulting Islam. Fine, okay. Yeah, he insulted Islam by ending his tweet or his post by saying praise be to Allah. If you feel like that was an insult, okay, that's all on you, fine. If he was mocking them, fine. But here's Tucker Carlson talking about free speech a few years ago, because I do this to left-leaning talking heads as well. Be consistent. That's all we're asking. And if we have, and if we can't count on the likes of Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones to be consistent about certain things, okay, then we can't trust what they have to say. If they're wrong, if now all he has to do is come out on another podcast to say, look, that thing I said so many years ago, I don't believe it anymore. Then the question is, so what else don't you believe anymore? So let's listen to him talk about this, because here he is talking about free speech and why he takes a very hardline position against, well, let's just listen.
Standard that has long prevailed in the Islamic world, which is that you can be punished for criticizing Muhammad, is now the law in Europe.
Exactly right. And I think this is pretty terrifying, because what we are witnessing in Europe is the return of blasphemy law by the back door. You know, people fought long and hard in many European countries for the right to question religion, to mock gods, to make fun of prophets. This is a long, hard fought for liberty. It's now being overturned by these new forms of blasphemy law, which really are rehabilitating quite medieval laws, which tell us that there are certain things about religious gods and prophets that we are not allowed to say. I think it is a brazen and terrifying attack on freedom of speech.
Yes, and one specific religion. I mean, I assume you're still free to attack the Archbishop of Canterbury. In fact, of course you are. It's Islam.
But the problem we face in Europe, of course, is that Islam is offered the kind of protections that no other religion enjoys. We have the term Islamophobia, which is used against anyone who simply raises criticisms of the Quran or the hijab or any other aspect of Islamic practices or Islamic behavior. What we have to recognize is that freedom of speech, by its very definition, includes the freedom to offend. And what the court has done it has said that people's religious feelings trump the freedom of speech.
So this was Tucker Carlson, okay? The freedom of speech includes the freedom to offend. And Tucker Carlson is essentially taking offense, and he is now offended on behalf of people who are on a different continent, who have different laws. And by the way, those laws have essentially made their countries shitholes. Let me just say that, okay? Because when you live in a country that is a first world country, the most powerful country in the world, the thing that made it the most powerful country in the world is the laws of the land. And I'm not talking about the crazy laws that they're passing or that they've passed over the last 20, 25 years. I'm talking about the laws that have existed for several centuries. And Tucker Carlson is offended on behalf of these guys. People who flog women for not wearing a hijab, people who pour acid on women for not covering their hair properly. They hang you from cranes when you speak out against the supreme leader. That's who Tucker Carlson is being offended for.
I think that's a really dangerous road to go down, because nobody's feelings should trump the right of anyone else to say what they believe.
Of course. But this is a much longer conversation, which maybe you can back up.
Oh, my goodness.
But it's not simply a failure to defend speech. It's also kind of continent-wide self-hatred. Yes. What people are saying is the culture, our culture, should bow down before another culture, minority culture from another part of the world. I mean,
this did not age well.
Right? A society that hates itself would.
That's absolutely right. I think what we are doing is we are demolishing one of the key principles of modern Europe. In the wake of the Enlightenment and the Renaissance, Europe propelled itself forward and started to believe in freedom and choice and the right to express yourself. We are now backtracking on those great historic gains, and we are allowing a new form of censorship to come through. I also think it's a very dangerous ruling. We have many radical Islamists in Europe, and the court has now basically said it is impermissible for people to say this thing about Muhammad. What message does that send to these people? It tells them that if they hear someone say this, maybe they can punish them. Maybe they can reprimand them.
Exactly.
Well, but isn't that what Tucker Carlson is doing? He heard Trump post or say something on his social media post, and he's reprimanding them. He's punishing Trump for saying something that Islamists wouldn't like. It's upside down world here, guys. All right. Now, what are we doing tonight? We're watching meltdowns over Trump's statements, and we're doing it over drinks. Okay, we're doing it over drinks. Now, before I take another drink, hey, I'm drinking herbal tea. Okay, guys, I'm not. I'm drinking herbal tea, but you can pick up a drink of your choice. You can take a can of soda, coffee, cappuccino, whatever. But let's sit and talk about this. I was going over some of the videos today, and I felt that let's sit and watch it. This is a watch party. We're just going over these videos. We're asking questions, and we're talking with each other to figure out, okay, so what does all of this mean? Now, if you notice, I haven't called anybody evil yet. I haven't. That title is reserved to for people who essentially promote evil policies. So not yet. But when we look at the overboard reactions that we're seeing about Trump's position on Iran, and we're seeing right-wing influencers move away from Trump and even attack Trump because he is doing something that he always said he would do, because Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Look, everyone knows that Iran has been working on acquiring nuclear technology. And many of them right now, because it's expedient, want to pretend that Trump is deranged for believing that Iran has nuclear weapons. In fact, they want to make it look like Trump is sitting in his bedroom and fantasizing about these things. They pretend that there's no intelligence apparatus at the disposal of the President of the United States to actually confirm all of these things. They want you to believe that he is daydreaming that there's actually an imminent threat that Iran could have had nuclear weapons within months, okay, of the last of the strikes against their leadership. Now, here's the difference between Tucker Carlson and Trump. Trump has been consistent about Iran not getting nuclear weapons, but you're going to hear Trump and Tucker Carlson side by side talking about a nuclear-powered Iran, and you notice something very striking.
Iran must not have a nuclear bomb. That's what he said publicly.
I think a better way to say it.
We can't let Iran get a nuclear weapon.
Sure that Iran we don't want Iran to have acquires a nuclear weapon. The future is a series of hopes and unknowns. A nuclear weapon.
that Iran
over which
must
we have
never
very
be allowed
limited
to
control.
possess a nuclear weapon.
And it's important to say that out loud. I am not God. I can do my best, and that's all I can do. I cannot determine events. I don't care what my title is.
Iran have
my army is.
a nuclear weapon.
The future is a series of hopes and unknowns. Period.
Iran, we would
And
they
the
can't
way
have a
that
nuclear
leaders
weapon.
get is by imagining that their desires
You can't let
are
Iran
the same
have
as
nuclear
commands.
weapons. Iran
I want you to
cannot
do this
have
is
a nuclear
valid
weapon.
thing to say.
Iran
I will
can't
do
have a
everything
nuclear
in
weapon.
my power
Don't let
to make you do this. Fine.
Have nuclear weapons.
I am going
They can't have a nuclear weapon.
control what you do. It's impossible. So the bottom line is we don't have the power to determine. I wish we did. We don't. No country does. We do not have the power to determine whether or not Iran has the bomb.
Iran
That's
can't have
beyond
a
our
nuclear
power.
weapon. It's very
All
simple.
I'm saying
They can't
is
have a nuclear weapon. They
any
can't have a nuclear weapon.
wise
They
course
can't
of
have a
action
nuclear weapon.
begins with a sober and honest assessment of your own power. What am I capable of? How do I actually have? And when you lie to yourself about how much power you actually have, you get into very serious trouble. That's called hubris, and it's the downfall of every empire. It's the destruction of every great man. It's why you sleep with your assistant. You're like, I deserve this. Don't want to find out.
Nuclear weapon. They're not
Trump said,
I mean, right?
Never
Are you tracking with me here?
Yeah. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's, pretty simple.
So you have Trump making a very pointed statement. The only thing he said for 47 years, 46, 47 years, is Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. So Carlson, in answering that one question, has to give you a tome. Someone told me one time that very smart people have learned how to deliver their message with the fewest words. And for Tucker Carlson, trying to say all of this is essentially plausible deniability. Yeah, we don't want them to have a bomb, but we can't predict tomorrow. We are not God. We can't control people's behaviors. Therefore, there are just look at everything he says. And I get that Tucker Carlson is trying to sound like he's trying to say so many things to explain his position, and his position essentially is milquetoast, lukewarm. All right, he will not have a position until he has a gun literally pointed at his head, and then he'll take a position. But now, when there's no imminent threat, he can say all of this. Okay, he can say all of this and sound really smart and sound really compassionate. And then there's something that I keep hearing from D-Day Cobra. He's a YouTuber that I follow. He just simply says this: Trump has more information than any podcaster out there. Okay, he has more information than Alex Jones. He has more information than Tucker Carlson. So here's CNN again doing what they do, trying to make it sound like the United States and Iran are on an equal footing. The whole moral equivalence game, trying to say that what the United States is doing in attacking Iran and eliminating its leadership is not the same as Iran chanting death to America, but they forget that they have been killing American citizens for 40 years, starting with them kidnapping U.S. citizens and holding them for 444 days. So let's listen to this together. Remember, you can let me know your thoughts in the chat. I will read your chats. I'll let you know. I'll basically read it out, and you guys will let me know what you think of this content.
It sounds to me like you're questioning whether we're on the moral or righteous side of this conflict against these Iranian butchers.
How we do it is the question. Not just what we do, Scott.
I mean,
how we prosecute the wars that we're in. It's very important. And it's not just important. Hold on a second. It's not just important because of what we do to them. Because I don't really care necessarily about what happens in the middle of conflict with the opponent. The question is also what's good for us, what's good for our troops. And if we commit war crimes and if we go after people in unsavory ways, we're going to set ourselves up and our troops up to be treated the same way.
So people like this guy in the green tie are cowards. All right, they're cowards. Now, when they come on CNN and say stuff like this, we don't want to commit war crimes, define a war crime that the United States Army has committed. They can't tell you. They can't tell you. They have this, they create this moral high ground that they have essentially erected for themselves, where they stand on this perch and scream down at the people who are actually protecting them and defending them. That's what they did with ICE and Border Patrol. And now they're doing it to the US Army, the US military. And they're trying to tell them, look, from our moral high ground, which you guys created for us by going to foreign countries and dying to protect our freedoms, I'm standing on this moral high ground telling you that you can't, I'm going to dictate to you how you protect my freedoms. And it can't involve killing people that want to kill me. These guys are cowards. I mean, that's all I can say about them. They need to come face to face with the horrors of what is possible when their position reaches its full maturity. It's like what happened with Hitler in the 30s. Neville Chamberlain kept trying to appease him until things got out of hand, and then they had to pull Winston Churchill in to become the Prime Minister of Britain because of the mess that Neville Chamberlain had created, because he was talking like this character here on the screen. We don't want to cause problems. We want to be free, but we don't want to pay the price to be free. These guys want to have clean hands. They don't want to do the work. Is the elitist position that they take. They don't want to do the work. They just want to tell everyone else that they're doing the work wrong, but they won't actually get in there to do the work.
But the bottom line of this conflict is this is a country that for 47 years has been run by religious fanatics that are desperate to bring about the end of the world with a nuclear weapon. Their principal mantras are death to America and death to Israel, and he is trying to prevent that. I'm not really having trouble seeing the right and the wrong here, or the moral versus the immoral. I believe in the righteousness of this mission. I think most Americans do, and I think it's pretty easy to tell the good guys from the bad guys here, but I'm hearing a lot of people in the air saying, question is also, I don't really know.
Yeah, so, Scott Jennings is accurate there. No one wants to confront the absolute evil of what's going on in these places like the Middle East. And Huck Finn 28550, I'm going to put up your chat on the screen. Huck Finn says, in African nations, the real genocide is against Christians, next to zero coverage or concerns. And you are correct. You're correct. And do you know why there's next to zero coverage? Because it has to do with Islam. I'm sorry to say that. It's not convenient for them to cover these atrocities because it's like it cancels out this moral high ground that they've created for themselves. Like, look, we are the good guys, and we're trying to show you peons how to think. And when the real world consequences of their position shows up in Africa, they pretend that it's not happening. I come from Nigeria, and there are atrocities happening there every other week. Every other week. The Islamists are slaughtering people in northern Nigeria. CNN isn't covering it, but when Trump does something about that, they begin to complain and bellyache about how he's handling these barbarians. Huck Finn also says many countries in the Middle East face this oppression by Islam, but pay attention, the Trojan horse of it across Africa. True. You know, one of the reasons why I cover U.S. politics, Huck, is this. The United States is the only country right now that is able, and in many cases willing, to exert its strength to protect countries like my home country from Islamists, from terrorists, or from any actor, that tries to exert undue influence to oppress the people in those countries. But when I see what the Democrats and the leftists in the United States are doing, they are attempting to destroy the ability of the United States to do this. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm not an alarmist. I don't think that the United States is going to be destroyed in my lifetime. I don't think so. I might be wrong, but I don't think so, because it takes a long time for empires to be destroyed. The empire that the United States has created over the last 250 years is essentially almost as powerful as what the Romans created, and it took the Roman Empire 400 years to decline and to disappear, almost 1,000 years before they were completely gone. So it's not going to happen that way, but if things keep going the way they're going, that's going to happen. Hockfin says the EU is on the verge of the Trojan horse opening. It's why the EU cannot protect the oppressed by Islam. You are very correct. The EU is essentially capitulating to the Islamists. It's like what's going on in the UK. In the UK, you have the Islamists running politics because, fun fact, in case you didn't know, they have more kids. All right, they have more kids. They have more wives. They have more kids. And guess what? The taxpayer, the regular Western guy who pays taxes, who might not get married until he's in his mid-30s and might only have one kid. Okay, that's the average guy. The average Caucasian male, that is what they basically do when it comes to childbirth. They have more kids and they get to control the votes. And so that's why the EU essentially is that way, because they've understood we can't attack the West militarily, so we're going to go into the West, feed off their compassion and use that against them, enter into the voting pool and vote in our own people, who will in turn allow us to take over their country. The thing that the Islamists couldn't do to Spain many years ago, they are doing it today, and they're winning. Okay, so Hockfin, you are totally correct. Now, this is yet another one of those characters on CNN. So they're belly aching about Trump's, post. We all read the post, we heard it, but it's good to kind of watch these guys because they essentially have nothing important to say, but Trump did something wrong. Therefore, he's evil and isn't qualified to be president.
Acknowledge that what Donald Trump said this morning was abhorrent and that no president should ever threaten annihilating a civilization. Why can't you just acknowledge that?
Look, he's talking to them in the way he thinks he needs to talk to them.
Why can't you acknowledge that? That is something that no president of the United States should say. Because I don't take orders from you, number one, and number two, I gave him the space to negotiate with the Iranians the best way he knows how. All right, well, let me just...
I'm sure that she worked on this gotcha question all morning, all day before this show was recorded, to paint Scott Jennings into a corner.
Let me ask a final question, Scott. For the record, do you think it's acceptable for the president to threaten to annihilate a civilization?
I think it's acceptable for the commander-in-chief to deal with these people in the best way that he can.
Is that a yes or is it a no?
Result.
Is that a yes or is it a no?
So that's a yes.
Is that a yes or a no?
I'm not going to second guess him. I'm not going to second guess him.
So it's a yes.
He put out a statement. We now have a ceasefire.
Okay.
Those are the two things
I just wanted to ask for the record.
Yes.
That's a yes on your part. Yeah. We'll leave it.
Again, a bunch of cowards. President Trump is a master negotiator. If you're dealing with people who don't understand anything except violence, they don't respect weakness. They only respect strength. You have to speak to them in a language they understand. I have 2 boys and a girl. There is a degree of strength you need to express or extend when you are talking to boys. I don't mean you're mean, but you need to exude that strength. If you don't, they'll run all over you. My boys and my girl, they love me to bits. But I know that I do have to exude that strength because you do, if you want them to turn out to be reasonable, responsible people in the society. The insane people we see running around essentially didn't have strong parents, who raised them to be proper citizens. Okay, so please send more comments. As you can see, I stop everything to talk to you guys. All right, so here's Hillary Clinton for the pearl clutchers who say that President Trump's threats to Iran are crazy and shouldn't ever be done. Here's Hillary Clinton. Now, before I play this, because I need to show this. I need to keep my word. Okay, so here's Huck Finn again. Huck says, the KGB warned the West about Marxists and liberal ideology to destroy the USA, its moral fabric and backbone. Yeah, so if you have been following my channel, Huck Finn, I hope you're subscribed to my channels. On the main channel, I just released a video. It talks about this KGB defector. Okay, so I know about it. It's on my channel, and it's currently live. It's currently live. I know that video. Yeah. So the KGB defector warned the West about Marxist and liberal ideology to destroy the USA, its moral fabric and backbone. He said once the authoritarians take over, the liberals will be the first ones to be destroyed. Yes. Yeah, so that video is on the main channel, and it's crazy, guys. Huck Finn, I hope you're subscribed to the channel. Please consider subscribing if you're not. Please share, like the video, and thanks for your comments. I love the comments that you're posting. They're very enlightening. Sometimes we think that everybody knows the same things we do, but sadly they don't. And so it's our job to kind of keep sharing it at the expense of repeating the same thing people already know to them. We just keep repeating it and hope that we get people to wake up to what's going on. Sub and like. Thank you so much, Huck Finn. Thank you so much. Welcome to the team, brother. We're going to try to do these live streams. Now, the live streams are essentially us going through the news and figuring out what's going on with, the Democrats crashing out and complaining about everything that's good. Meanwhile, promoting horrendous, destructive policies. We're going to be calling those out over a drink. And I usually come to these live streams with herbal tea. Patricia isn't here. Again, a U.S. Army veteran. I wish Patricia was on this live stream. So my co-host, Patricia, is a U.S. Air Force veteran. But she wasn't able to make it tonight. I'm a U.S. Army veteran of both wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, retired now, thankfully. Huck, people don't understand what you and other service members have seen in these theaters of war. Meanwhile, thank you for your service. American strength being exerted across the globe is the reason why these crazy lunatics don't act out more than they already are, because they know that the American army or military will come down hard on them and crush them. That is the reason. Thank you for your service, Huck Finn. Thank you so much. I wish Patricia was here because she would have loved to see this. Okay, so here's Hillary Clinton, okay? And here's what she said concerning the Iranians.
I want the Iranians to know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. Whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that, because that perhaps will deter them from doing something that would be reckless, foolish, and tragic.
Yeah, so this is not AI. This is Hillary Clinton promising that she would attack Iran, obliterate. This is crazy. Huck Finn says, my family came to this land in the year 1634 on the ship Francis from Great Bardow, Essex, England. Huck Finn, look, I respect the sacrifice that your family made to give their generations a better life. They settled in the United States, and eventually you were born, and that's amazing. And the intelligentsia that have essentially brainwashed the kids in college to say that America is stolen land is one of the most heartbreaking things that I've watched happen over the years, because they want to erase your history. You know the year your family arrived, you know the ship they arrived on, you know the price they paid, and you respect that, and you're honoring that by serving your country. At least you served your country while you were in the military, now you're retired. And they want that to be wiped away as if it never happened. So it's like, I'm so honored to have you in the chat. Thank you so much for that bit of history about you and your family, Huck. Many of my ancestors fought in the Revolutionary War and also for the North in the Civil War. I also have Native American ancestors as well. You are a true blue, red-blooded American. You are. Okay? Huck Finn. Wow. I've got chills. I always have chills when I talk to somebody who knows the story of their family line. All right. Now, so those of you who are watching, like I crack myself up because whenever I look at the I'm a mutt. Yeah. Oh boy. All right, that's so cool. Okay, that threw me off. Okay, so I love to talk with my kids whenever we read the Bible, because we've been reading one chapter of the Bible for the last 3 years. And every time we get to a part of the Old Testament or even the New Testament where the family genealogies are listed, I always have to stop to let them know that this is evidence that these people actually existed. It's evidence that anyone who read the book when it was written, maybe after 30 years of the writing of those records, 100 years of the writing of those records, they can find the names of the people written in the book and say, these people are in the book, therefore they lived, and we have their relatives who lived here and over there. It is amazing to see that in the Bible. Hockfin says, but being Christian unites us as family, regardless of who or where we are born. Yes. And that is the power of the gospel. That is the power of the gospel. I tell, for people who try to get me to hate white people, they jump into the comment section and say, oh, well, the white people won't accept you no matter how much you grift or shill for them. And I'm like, guys, you came too late. You came too late. My family has had the greatest encounters with white people. All right, and anyone who tries to play the race card is just ignorant. As a Christian, I grew up in a Christian home, and we had missionaries who would leave the comforts of the United States and come to live in a country without steady power supply, good plumbing, or even great security. And they would do that on a horrible salary. Okay? Please. You guys need to get out more, okay? You guys who think that everyone is racist, you need to get out more. Hockfin says, but the Christian will accept that is, but the Christian will accept that is for sure. Unity through, yes, unity through Christ. We have all been made one body in Christ. That is what Paul wrote in I think it was this 2 Corinthians. Though we are many, we have become one body in Christ. Yeah. And, that is I feel like that is one of the reasons why the left is so vehemently against Christianity. And anyone who is able to articulate political policy and Christianity all in one. They are terrified of them because Christianity is so logical, and the evidence that it is the hope for the world is so clear to anyone who cares to take a close look, and who isn't brainwashed. Hockfin says, it was the love of God who sets the captives free. Yes, it is. It is. Guys, I'm feeling chills. We've gone from reviewing the reactions of Tucker Carlson and talking about Jesus, because this is what it's all about. Tucker Carlson said that his Bible teaches him something, and I'm like, you've not read the Bible, really. You've not. And when you read the Bible is such an amazing, amazing book. Now let's listen to this this video. This is coming from CNN, okay? Before the 2025 strike on Iran's nuclear facilities, after the strike, and then before the 2026 strike. Let's listen to these guys. They are so predictable.
This timeline of Iran being a few weeks away from a nuclear bomb is in direct contradiction to CNN's reporting. According to U.S. intelligence assessments, Iran is 3 years away from being able to produce a nuclear weapon if they wanted to. So the facts on Iran getting a nuclear weapon do not bear out the claim at the heart of what has put the world on the verge of world war. Iran's uranium may still be intact and in Iranian control, 408 kilograms of it. Now, enough theoretically, according to experts, to make 9 nuclear weapons. It only set back the Iranian nuclear program by months. We got to call it like it is. It's a big deal. Sources tell CNN there is no U.S. intelligence that Iran is building missiles that could soon hit the United States.
Yeah, so that's essentially CNN. Trump's intelligence agencies give him the facts. He acts. And CNN's intelligence briefings, like CNN runs the CIA, okay? Like CNN knows everything about what's going on everywhere in the world. We have someone in the chat, okay? Republicans are idiots. Stay mad, little dude. This is why you guys amuse me. All right. You guys amuse me. You come into spaces that you're invited into, sometimes not invited into, and you bring your prejudice and your TDS and you try to start fights. All right. You're only embarrassing yourself. All right. So please, when you come into someone's house, if they ask you to take your shoes off, take your shoes off. You don't come in and you don't poop in the living room. All right. So I'm just going to leave you. I'm just going to leave it. If I get another stupid statement from you because it's stupid, and you know, I talked earlier about kids being raised right. All right. I talked about kids being raised right. If you act out again, I'll do for you maybe what your daddy didn't do for you when you were growing up. All right. So you come into a space, we're discussing policy, we're discussing evidence. If you come up and you're calling names, you get banned. It's really as simple as that. All right. This is a very simple thing. Okay. You have, okay, Hawkfin says, an example of very bad manners. That is very true. Let's have a decent conversation. All right. You don't call people names. You don't know me. You don't know Hawk. You don't know the other guys who are watching wherever they're watching from. Meanwhile, those of you who are watching and aren't chatting, just let us know where you're watching from. And if you're sipping on something like I am, tell us what you're sipping on. All right. Don't just come into a live stream and try to get a rise out of people. It's wrong. If they told you that that is owning the chuds, it is wrong. It makes you look stupid. Okay, please. All right. You need to grow up. You need to grow up. It's wrong. All right. So CNN essentially denying that there are weapons. That there was a nuclear program going on, then claiming that the strike didn't really destroy the nuclear program that they said didn't exist. And then when Trump is about to strike Iran this year, they rinse and repeat. You know, it's very predictable. Hawk he's having tea as well, watching from a small town in southern Iowa. Amazing. Well, Hawk, cheers. So, we're going to be doing this possibly every evening. So please hit the bell icon. If you've subscribed, make sure that the bell icon has been activated so that YouTube notifies you when we go live. We're going to be scheduling out the next live stream in a bit. So please consider hitting the bell icon or hitting the notify button so that you're notified when we go live. We're going to be looking at the stories of the day, reviewing a few things. And do you know what? Feel free to suggest that we look into something that maybe you feel that we might need to look at during the live stream. I will give you guys the benefit of telling me, hey, why don't we take a look at this story because it's important. And then I will essentially open up that story and we can talk about it. Okay. So that is what we do here. Yes, pay attention to the hypocrisy in media. Makes you have to do your own research to expose why they say what they do. If anyone can't see that they're being lied to by now, I'm very sorry for you. If you can't see that these people aren't being consistent, The only thing that I ask of the media and everyone else is that they be consistent. Just be consistent. That's all I'm asking. If you're going to say that when Hillary Clinton claims that she would like to bomb, Iran and make sure they don't get a nuclear weapon, if you're not going to complain about that, don't complain when Trump says it or does it. Don't. Okay? Democrats have been using profanity for a long time. And suddenly a Republican president decides that he's not going to play games with you, and he uses profanity to ensure that his point is being put across, and you're losing it. It's just sad to watch, guys. It's sad to watch. It's sad to watch. All right, we've exhausted all of the videos that I lined up, and you know what? It was fun. Huck Finn, thank you for being in the chat. I hope you come back, for the next live stream that we will be having tomorrow. We're going to be doing this every day tomorrow. Every day of the week. And thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. And those of you who are watching, please consider subscribing and liking and sharing the video. There's this narrative that's going around, on the left. They claim that there are more of them than there are of us, but that's not true. Okay, that's not true. The only reason it appears that there are more of them than of us is that they tend to be louder on the internet. Huck Finn says, "Yep, hit the bell icon, please. Hit the bell icon." YouTube does a horrible job of notifying subscribers whenever the content your creators send out is published. And hitting the bell icon is just one more thing that you can do. If you're watching from your phone, you should also activate notifications from the YouTube app. YouTube has made this whole thing so convoluted. And if you hit the like button and you saw a slider come up that says hype the video, please push that option as well to hype the video. Hyping the video pushes the content forward to reach more people. So please help us out with that as well. If you can as well, you can support us not only by subscribing, liking, and sharing the video and hyping the video. Also consider sending us a financial donation with a super thank or a super chat, or joining the membership so that we can keep this going. I do appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I love live streaming. I could go for hours. Last night we went for 3 hours, Patricia and I. But tonight we're just going to keep it short because we want to keep it short and sweet. Tomorrow we're going to have more stories, and we'll just take a break before tomorrow. If you're watching after the fact, leave your thoughts in the comment section. I read all the comments and I try to respond to every single comment. The way I am on the live stream with comments with the chat is the same way I am with the comments section. I try to read everything and I try to respond to all of you whenever you take the time to let me know what you think and how you feel about the content. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Huck Finn, for being in the chat and keeping it warm. Thank you for joining me with your cup of tea. Tomorrow we're going to be back. So bring your cup of tea, coffee, your favorite brew, and we will sit and enjoy the news together and break things down so that let's just have some fun, guys. Okay, they want us to panic, they want us to rip our hair out, they want us to go crazy, but no, we're not going to do that. We're all going to keep calm, we're all going to look at the facts, and we're all going to simply enjoy the show while the leftists and the Democrats have their meltdowns. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.